with today's Bitcoin market update. Today is the 29th of December 2023. There are a few days left and we are in 2024. And we've got some exciting developments to cover today. But first, if you're here for the first time, don't forget to like, subscribe, and click that bell icon to stay updated on any of the latest market trends. Let's kick things off today by having a quick look at the market. We're currently trading at $42,080, and in the last 24 hours, we've had a bit of a downturn for Bitcoin. In terms of volatility, we're within a range, and we can see that Bitcoin is consolidating within this range, and we're having up, down action. In the world of trading, preparation is everything. So let's dive into our recent trades to see exactly what trades I've been into and how we managed to get into those trades. So we've got trade number one over here. Trade number one was a short. It was a short from a lower high internal range setup, and trade number one is actually still open. And trade number two is down here. It was a second leg lower high from an internal Trinity model that distributed and allowed us to enter a nice short. Trade number two, let's see, is it still open? Trade number two has been closed. And in terms of the actual trade, you can see here that from trade number one, we managed 199% profit, which is still currently open. And in trade number two, we've managed 102% profit, and that's actually closed at the minute. So for trade number one, what did we have to pay attention to? How did we get into that trade? Well, trade number one, clearly you can see that we're in a 4-hour uptrend, and a 4-hour established a high. And ever since we've been, consolidating within that range. But after the 4-hour established that high, it tested the high one more time. And when it tested that high, it created what we call a supply zone, a 30-minute supply zone. So as we can see, we have a 30-minute supply zone that was created from that high over here, 30-minute supply zone. And that supply zone is exactly what we've tagged when Bitcoin has marked down and marked back up to try and retest that high. It's tagged that supply zone, and not only is it tagged that supply zone, it's distributed in that region. It's distributed within another range, and we can see that range here. Let's just change the color of that to make sure we've got our range colors. We can see that range here. We've got tap number one, tap number two, and potentially a tap number three, so a Trinity Model 2, which took us down for the short. I managed to enter the trade right about here at 44,000, and we can see that here. We can see that the entry price was $44,180. Okay, and that trade is currently still open. As for trade number two, trade number two was a short. Again, it was a short from the second leg lower high. And how did we enter this short? Well, for this short, there was an internal Trinity Model 2 setup again. And this short was a beautiful, beautiful short that actually is closed at the moment. So I'm not in this trade anymore. So let's see. We can see internally that we have our first leg and we have our second leg, and we entered on the second leg from a Trinity Model 2. Let's see if we can identify that Trinity Model 2. So I'm going to go down to the 15 minutes. We're going to see on the 15 minute, well, it's kind of clear on the 15 minutes, but I'm going to go further lower down, perhaps on the 10 minutes. We can see here that price marked up, established our first high, our second high, and our third high within that range. So a similar idea to trade number one. And after that third tap, that third lower high, we get a markdown. And this made for a beautiful, beautiful trade. And that trade, we made around 3.5% on that trade. And that trade is currently closed at the moment. So those are the two trades I got into earlier this week. And for those trades, they were fairly simple, just following market structure and waiting for confirmation. But more importantly, I had to plan ahead. So now let's take a closer look at the charts and see what Bitcoin is doing. Well, as we said earlier, we can see that Bitcoin is still in that 4-hour range. Okay, in red we can see the 4-hour market structure. We had a higher high, higher low, a higher high, and then we had a break in structure. What do we expect after a break in structure? Well, after a break in structure, we expect a potential retracement and continuation downwards. We want a retracement and continuation downwards. So to look something like this. So this is the expectation of order flow. And at the moment, we're expecting Bitcoin to run this low, but of course nobody knows what's going to happen. It may decide to push up one more leg and break the initial highs. Or it could go down as expected and set up a lower high for which we can enter a nice juicy trade over here. So that's what Bitcoin looks like at the moment. So let's take a closer look at the trades we are planning. So for trade number one, we're looking at a potential long at this low. So if we know that Bitcoin's expectation of order flow is to come further down, we're looking at a long at this low, at the exact low. We're looking for a change in market structure at Bitcoin as Bitcoin approaches this level, something like that. And as soon as we get that change in market structure, that's a great confirmation and we can enter along there. Trade number two, we notice that there is a 1-hour demand zone. So I can get rid of this. We notice that there is a 1-hour demand zone that was left over when Bitcoin made that internal high. But be careful with this demand zone because like I said, it's an internal high rather than a swing high. So be careful, make sure again that we're observing a change in market structure as Bitcoin approaches that level. And of course you can use other confirmations like market cipher, you can look at your divergences, you can look at your RSIs, whichever works best for you. So that's trade number two. Now trade number three, in the case that we do break the low, in the case we go up and we go bang, we go all the way down, well what do we expect after that? We expect a retracement after that break in structure. That retracement can come all the way up here, but anywhere within this region, we expect a retracement. So it could do something like that and continue to go further down. So something like that. Well, in that case, we would be looking to catch the lower high over here and driving this down. And this would be quite a potent trade. This would be a powerful trade. This one would be one of the trades that you'd be looking to hold for a while. Of course, if we do further analysis, if you look at the daily, we can see that we have a naked point of control coming out over here at about 39,446. So be wary of that level and be wary to look at a potential, long for a change in, market structure there as well. So in summary, what are we looking out for? We're looking out for the 1-hour demand zone playing up. We're looking out for the lows playing up. We're also looking at for naked point of control, and those are our 3 long options. As for shorts, in terms of our short options, we're looking at the lower high after the break of structure on the 4-hour. So that would be our short option. At the moment, Bitcoin is doing something interesting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of these, and I'm going to zoom in just to look at Bitcoin's price action at the minute. I'm actually in a very small scalp at the minute. I'm in a long scalp, and the reason I enter this scalp is because I noticed that we have a 12-minute demand zone, that was generated over here. We've got a 12-minute demand zone, and as Bitcoin marks down, we can see, or we can inspect the market structure. So on the 5-minute, we've got our market structure looking like this. And we come down, it doesn't quite break, okay? So we can't quite call this a high, lower high. What we can do is we can stop there and we can say, well, we need Bitcoin to break this level. We need it to break this level to justify a long, all right? So that's what a 5-minute structure looks like. Let's go down to the 3-minute structure. Well, on the 3-minute structure, we have something that looks like this, where we've got it looking very similar to the 5-minute structure. And again, we're looking for a break actually over here on the 3-minute structure. So we're going to make the 3-minute structure, we're going to put that in black just so we can see what's going on. We're going to delete all of this. Okay, so in red, actually, we've got the 4-hour in red, so why don't we make this in green? Well, in green, we've got our 5-minute structure. And for the 5-minute structure, we're looking for a potential break up here. So we can change that to green as well. And we can actually label that. We can label that a 5-minute potential break-in structure. Okay. And then for the 3 minutes, we're looking, or I was looking for a potential break here, a break-in structure here. And if we wanted, we can go even further. We can look at the 1 minute. And on the 1 minute, you know, if we trace the 1 minute market structure downwards, we can see that we've got structure that looks fairly similar to the 3-minute structure. So again, a break is expected around there. But we're going to stick to the 3 minutes. And what I saw in the 3-minute is I saw a break in market structure, as we can see here. So what's the expectation of order flow? Well, at the moment, we're expecting a low over here and a high over there. Okay, so we're expecting our first high low. Now this could be exactly what we get to take us to the 5-minute break-in structure, which can propel us further up. But at the moment, I'm actually in this trade, and I enter this trade based on Market Cipher. Market Cipher is one of the best indicators you can have in terms of trade confirmation. So not only can you use market structure, if you wanted, you can use Market Cipher. And how did I enter this trade? I can see that as price was coming down, I can see that my momentum was going up. And this is what we call a bullish divergence. And this tells me that there is going to be a potential reversal taking place. All right, so just to summarize, we're looking at our long trades at those levels. We're looking at them at the supply zone, at a 1-hour supply. We're also looking at a long trade at the low, and we're looking at another long trade at the naked point of control. We're looking at a short trade in the case that the 4-hour breaks and produces the first lower high. All right, so that wraps things up today for Bitcoin's market update. If you found this information helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe.